You made a vow of poverty when you were 5 years old. You don't remember it, but it's running your life. Every month when bills pile up, every time you see your bank account, every moment you say there's not enough, you are honoring a promise a frightened child made decades ago. That little person inside you swore they would never have money, would never be like the adults who hurt them, would stay small and safe and invisible. And that vow has been your invisible prison ever since. I know this because I made the same vow. I was 6 years and 3 months old, standing in our kitchen at 7:42 in the morning. My father was screaming about money again, throwing papers across the table, his face red with rage. My mother was crying into her coffee, the steam rising between her trembling fingers. The smell of burnt toast filled the air, bitter and sharp. I remember the cold linoleum under my bare feet, how it made me shiver. And in that moment, watching the destruction that money seemed to create, I whispered to myself a promise that would haunt me for 37 years. I will never be like him. I will never let money make me mean. I will never have enough to hurt people. What I didn't understand was that this innocent vow became a command to my subconscious. Every thought, every decision, every opportunity would be filtered through this childhood promise. I would sabotage jobs, reject raises, feel guilty when I had more than others. I thought I was being noble, being kind. I didn't realize I was being obedient to a vow that was keeping me trapped. Place your hand on your heart right now. Feel it beating under your palm. This heart that has carried you through every struggle, every moment of financial stress, every night of worry about money. And whisper to that heart, to that child inside who made a vow so long ago, I see you. I understand why you made that promise. You were trying to protect us, but we don't need that protection anymore. If these words are stirring something deep inside you, if you're recognizing a pattern you've never seen before, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Each week, there's a new teaching waiting for you, a new key to unlock the doors that have kept you limited. This isn't just about money. This is about freedom. I remember the first person who told me about her poverty vow. Her name was Bethany, a woman of 43 who had been struggling financially her entire adult life, despite being brilliant, hardworking, and deserving. She came to me in tears, saying she felt cursed. No matter what she did, money would slip through her fingers like water. She had a master's degree, worked 60-hour weeks, and could barely afford rent. During our session, we went back to her earliest money memory. She was 7 years old, watching her wealthy grandmother refuse to help her family during a crisis. Her grandmother sat in her pristine living room, diamond rings catching the afternoon light, and said with cold precision, "Money doesn't grow on trees, and neither does character." Little Bethany, feeling the shame and helplessness radiating from her parents, made a vow that would control her life for decades to come. She whispered, "I will never be mean with money like Grandma. I will never have so much that I forget how it feels to need." What Bethany didn't realize was that her unconscious mind interpreted this as a command never to have money at all. Within 3 months of recognizing and breaking this vow, her income doubled. The promotion she had been passed over for suddenly appeared. A freelance opportunity fell into her lap. Her relationship with money shifted from scarcity to flow because she was no longer honoring a promise that was designed to keep her small. As you listen to this, as you breathe with me in this moment, notice what emotions are rising. Are you feeling recognition, sadness, relief, anger? Descend into the comments and share what emotion is coming up for you right now. There's no correct answer, only your truth. Your willingness to witness your own patterns is the first step toward breaking them. Every poverty vow has the same structure. It's made by a child who witnesses something frightening or shameful about money. Perhaps they see parents fighting about bills. Perhaps they watch someone they love become cruel when they have power. Perhaps they experience the pain of not having enough and decide that wanting money makes you bad, selfish, or unsafe. The child, in their innocence and wisdom, creates a rule designed to protect them from pain. But rules made in fear become prisons made of limitation. Place both hands on your heart now, one over the other, and feel the warmth spreading beneath your palms. This is where your vow lives, in the tender space where your child self made promises they thought would keep you safe. We're going to go back to that moment together, not to relive the pain, but to understand the love that created the limitation. Close your eyes and breathe with me. Inhale slowly, deeply, allowing the air to fill your lungs completely. Hold that breath for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now exhale slowly, releasing not just air, but the need to carry your vow alone. Again, breathe in love, breathe in understanding. Hold, and release the shame, the guilt, the fear that surrounds money in your life. Now I want you to imagine yourself as a small child. What age appears in your mind? 3, 5, 7? Don't judge it, just notice. See that little person in your mind's eye. What are they wearing? Where are they standing? And now, gently, lovingly, ask that child to show you the moment they decided something important about money. Trust whatever comes. It might be a specific memory or just a feeling. It might be words they heard or a situation they witnessed. Listen with your heart as that child whispers their vow to you. Perhaps it's, I will never be greedy like them. Perhaps it's money makes people mean, so I'll never have money. Perhaps it's, I don't deserve nice things when others are suffering. Whatever comes, receive it with compassion. This child was not making a mistake. They were trying to survive, to make sense of a confusing world, to protect their tender heart. Now, speaking softly to that child, say these words. I forgive you for this vow. Repeat it as a whisper first, just between you and your youngest self. I forgive you for this vow. Now say it in your normal voice, letting the forgiveness fill your entire chest. I forgive you for this vow. And finally, say it with the authority of an adult who understands the full picture. I forgive you for this vow. Pause for a moment. You may be feeling something shifting in your body, a loosening in your chest, a softening in your breathing, a warmth spreading through your limbs. You may feel sadness as you recognize how long you've been carrying this promise. You may feel relief as you realize it was never meant to be permanent. Whatever you're experiencing is perfect, is valid, is part of your healing. While you integrate this feeling, I want you to go to the comments and share which vow you discovered. Was it about never being greedy? About not deserving abundance? About money changing who you are? Your willingness to name your vow robs it of its secret power over your life. When we bring unconscious patterns into conscious awareness, we reclaim our choice. The child who made this vow was brilliant. They were intuitive, sensitive, and loving. They saw pain and decided to protect not just themselves, but others from that same pain. Honor that child's wisdom while releasing their strategy. They did the best they could with what they understood about the world, but you know more now. You understand that money is energy, that abundance is your birthright, that having resources allows you to help others more powerfully than staying small ever could. Feel your hands still resting on your heart. With each breath, imagine that warmth melting the invisible chains your vow created. Those chains were forged in love, in a desire to be good, to be safe, to be worthy. But love doesn't require poverty. Goodness doesn't demand limitation. Safety doesn't need you to hide your light. As this practice settles into your nervous system, carry this awareness with you. You made a vow, yes, but vows can be broken. Promises can be updated. The child who created this rule can also release it. You have that power right here, right now, in this breath, in this moment of conscious choice. Let me share something that Louise Hay taught me about the mysterious formation of our money beliefs, something that changes everything once you truly understand it. She discovered that every single limitation we carry about abundance was programmed into our subconscious minds between birth and 7 years old. During those crucial years, our brains are in what scientists call a theta state, the same brainwave pattern experienced during hypnosis. Whatever we observe, whatever we hear, whatever we experience during this period gets downloaded directly into our operating system without any conscious filter. This is why a 5-year-old watching their father lose his temper over a credit card bill doesn't just witness an argument. Their developing mind creates meaning from that experience. They might decide that money causes pain, that having financial needs makes you a burden, that asking for anything is dangerous. These aren't rational conclusions. They're survival strategies encoded in the neural pathways of a brain that prioritizes safety above everything else. Louise often said that our money patterns have nothing to do with money and everything to do with what money meant in our family of origin. If you grew up where money was scarce, you likely have unconscious beliefs about scarcity being normal, safe, or virtuous. If money was present but accompanied by guilt, shame, or conflict, you may have learned that abundance comes with a cost too high to pay. If money was used as control, as love withheld or punishment delivered, your nervous system learned to associate financial success with emotional danger. The revolutionary truth that modern neuroscience confirms is that these early patterns are not permanent. The brain that learned limitation can learn abundance. The neural pathways carved by childhood fear can be rewired by adult wisdom. Every time you choose a new thought about money, every time you act from abundance rather than scarcity, you are literally rebuilding your brain's relationship to prosperity. Consider this. A child named Ezekiel watched his mother cry over bills while his father worked 3 jobs and was never home. Young Ezekiel's developing mind created a simple equation. Money equals suffering. Having it means others do without. Wanting it makes you selfish. Working for it costs you everything that matters. By the time Ezekiel reached adulthood, this unconscious programming was running his financial life. He would sabotage opportunities that felt too good, reject partnerships that seemed too profitable, and settle for less than he deserved because his nervous system had learned that more money meant more pain. This is the first layer of resistance you may encounter as you begin to break your poverty vow. Your mind may whisper, "But I don't remember making any such promise." Of course, you don't remember consciously. These vows were made in the twilight space of childhood, in moments of overwhelming emotion when logic had no place. Your rational mind wasn't making these decisions. Your survival instincts were. The part of you that would do anything to belong, to be loved, to stay safe in your family system. The second resistance that often arises is the belief that this process won't work for you. You may think that your situation is different, that your limitations are real and practical rather than emotional and energetic. But Louise taught us something profound. The outer world is always a reflection of inner beliefs. If you have persistent financial struggles despite intelligence, effort, and opportunity, there is an unconscious pattern at play. Breaking that pattern doesn't require you to become a different person. It requires you to remember who you truly are beneath the protective limitations your child self created. If you're recognizing yourself in these words, if you're starting to see the invisible threads connecting your childhood experiences to your adult financial reality, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Because what I'm sharing with you today is just the beginning of what becomes possible when you understand the true nature of abundance and your relationship to it. The third resistance is perhaps the most heartbreaking, the belief that you don't deserve more than you currently have. This resistance often sounds like humility, but feels like shame. It whispers that wanting financial ease is selfish when others have so little that you should be grateful for whatever scraps life offers, that dreaming of abundance proves you're shallow or materialistic. But this resistance reveals the deepest wound in your poverty vow, the belief that your needs, desires, and dreams matter less than everyone else's. Now that you understand how your poverty vow was formed, let's begin the sacred work of communicating with the part of you that created it. This practice requires tenderness, patience, and a willingness to approach your inner child not as a problem to be solved, but as a wisdom keeper to be honored. Find a comfortable position and close your eyes once more. Take 3 deep breaths, allowing each exhale to soften your body deeper into this moment. Now imagine yourself walking down a hallway lined with doors. Each door represents a different age of your childhood. Trust your intuition as you approach the door that calls to you. This is the age when your poverty vow was made. Open that door gently and step inside. You see your younger self in this space, perhaps sitting quietly in a corner, perhaps watching something unfold, perhaps experiencing the moment that changed everything. Approach this child with the same tenderness you would offer to any frightened, confused little person trying to make sense of the adult world. Sit beside them and ask softly, What did you decide about money that day? What promise did you make to keep us safe? Listen with your whole heart as this child shares their story. They might tell you about watching someone they loved become cruel when they had power. They might describe the shame of not having enough, the fear of losing what little they had, the confusion of seeing money create both security and suffering. Receive their truth without trying to fix or change it. Simply witness the brilliance of a young mind creating the best solution they could imagine with their limited understanding of how the world works. Now share with this child what you know now that they couldn't have known then. Explain that money is simply energy, a tool for creation and service. Help them understand that having resources doesn't make you mean or selfish any more than being thirsty makes you greedy when you drink water. Show them examples of people who use their wealth to heal, to create beauty, to solve problems, to lift others up. Let them feel the truth that abundance shared is abundance multiplied. The second practice involves rewriting the original scene where your vow was made, but from the perspective of your adult self. In your imagination, return to that pivotal moment as the wise, compassionate person you are today. See the situation that caused your child self to make their poverty vow, but this time you're there to offer a different interpretation. If little you witnessed parents fighting about money, your adult self can whisper, "They're scared, not mean. They love each other, and they love you." Money stress feels overwhelming when you don't understand that abundance is always available. If your child self watched someone wealthy be cruel, your adult presence can explain, "Their cruelty has nothing to do with their money, and everything to do with their pain. Hurt people, but money doesn't create meanness any more than water creates drowning." Now install a new truth in place of the old vow. Speak directly to your child self and say, "We are safe to have money. We are safe to want beautiful things. We deserve abundance not because we're better than others, but because abundance is the natural state of the universe, and we are part of that universe." Watch as relief floods your child's face, as their small body relaxes, as they nod with recognition of a truth they always sensed but were afraid to believe. The third practice is creating a rapid anchor for abundance consciousness that you can use anywhere, anytime your old programming tries to surface. Place your hand on your heart and speak these words with absolute conviction. I deserve abundance. Say it again, feeling the vibration of each syllable in your chest. I deserve abundance. One more time, this time as a decree that echoes through every cell of your body. I deserve abundance. I remember working with a man named Thaddeus who discovered that his poverty vow was formed when he was 8 years old and his family lost their home. He had promised himself that he would never again want anything too much because losing things you love hurts too badly. This vow had kept him in a series of unfulfilling, low-paying jobs for 23 years. He was brilliant, creative, and hardworking, but he had trained himself not to reach for opportunities that excited him because excitement felt dangerous. Within 6 weeks of breaking his poverty vow and installing new programming about deserving abundance, he was offered a position that doubled his income and honored his creative gifts. The opportunities had been there all along. His unconscious limitation had simply been screening them out. Of these 3 practices I've shared with you, which one is calling to your heart? Which practice are you actually going to try tomorrow morning? Which one feels like it might crack open the pattern that has been running your financial life? Trust that inner knowing, because your intuition understands what your logical mind is still learning to accept. You have tremendous power here, more power than you have ever allowed yourself to fully claim. Every single limitation in your financial life exists because at some point, consciously or unconsciously, you agreed to it. And what you agreed to, you have the power to revoke. What you promised, you have the authority to release. What you vowed, you can now unveil as the temporary protection it was always meant to be. This 4th practice is a complete ritual for breaking your poverty vow at the energetic level. You'll need to create a small ceremony for yourself, something that honors both the wisdom of the child who made the vow and the sovereignty of the adult who is choosing to release it. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. Light a candle if you can, not for mysticism, but for symbolism, to represent the light of consciousness illuminating what has been hidden in darkness. Begin by writing your poverty vow on a piece of paper. Use the exact words your child self spoke or implied. I will never be like them with money. I will never have enough to become mean. I don't deserve nice things when others suffer. Money changes people, and I want to stay good. Write it in your non-dominant hand if possible, allowing the awkward lettering to connect you with the child who created this limitation. Hold this paper in your hands and speak to it directly. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for keeping me safe in the only way you knew how. You were brilliant and loving and wise within your understanding of the world. But I know things now that you didn't know then. I understand that abundance is not the enemy of love, but the expression of it. I see that having resources allows me to serve more powerfully, not less compassionately. Now, speaking with the full authority of your adult consciousness, declare, I revoke this vow. I release this promise. I break this limitation. By my own free will, made in full awareness and deep love, I choose abundance. I choose to trust that I can have wealth without losing my heart, resources without losing my soul, success without sacrificing my values. Burn the paper if you can do so safely, or tear it into small pieces and throw them away. As you watch it disappear, feel the energetic cords that have bound you to limitation dissolving. Feel space opening in your chest, breath flowing more freely, possibilities that were once invisible beginning to shimmer into view. The fifth practice is installing your new programming about money with the same precision your child self used to install the limitation. Your subconscious mind learns through repetition and emotion, so we're going to give it a new pattern that serves your highest good rather than your smallest safety. Place both hands on your heart and speak these words as if your life depends on believing them. I am worthy of financial abundance. I deserve wealth that flows easily and serves magnificently. Money comes to me as naturally as breath enters my lungs. I am a wise and loving steward of all resources entrusted to me. Repeat this sequence 3 times, each repetition building energy and conviction. The mechanics of how poverty vows create actual limitation in your external world may seem mysterious, but the process is quite straightforward. Your subconscious mind controls approximately 95% of your daily thoughts and behaviors. When that subconscious programming includes a vow to avoid abundance, it will guide you away from opportunities, relationships, and choices that could lead to financial success. You'll find yourself missing important emails, forgetting to follow up on promising leads, accepting less than your worth, or sabotaging situations that feel too good to be true. Your nervous system, trained by childhood experience to associate money with danger, will create stress responses whenever true abundance approaches. You might experience anxiety when negotiating salary, guilt when charging appropriately for your services, or fear when investments perform well. These responses aren't character flaws or personal weaknesses. They're protective mechanisms that have outlived their usefulness. But when you consciously break your poverty vow and install new programming aligned with abundance, your subconscious begins working for prosperity instead of against it. You notice opportunities that were always there. You feel calm confidence in financial discussions. You attract people and situations that support your thriving rather than your struggling. The same intelligence that once protected you through limitation now serves you through expansion. Now you have the tools. Now you understand the process. The question that remains is simple. Are you ready to live differently? Are you ready to walk through your days without the familiar weight of financial worry? Are you ready to make decisions based on possibility rather than fear? Are you ready to trust that your heart can remain open even as your bank account grows full? The choice is entirely yours, and the power to make that choice has been in your hands all along. Breaking a poverty vow is not an event, but a process. A gentle unfolding that happens in stages as your nervous system learns to trust the new reality you're creating. I want you to understand exactly what this journey looks like, so you can recognize and celebrate each milestone as it appears, rather than dismissing the early signs because they seem too small or too subtle to matter. The first milestone typically appears within the first 3 days, after you've consciously identified and begun breaking your poverty vow. This is the milestone of recognition. You'll start noticing how often money thoughts arise throughout your day, how many decisions are influenced by scarcity thinking, how frequently you apologize for your financial needs or desires. This awareness might initially feel overwhelming, like seeing dirt in your house once you turn on brighter lights. But recognition is power. You cannot change what you cannot see. During this phase, you might notice yourself about to make a choice from your old programming, then pause and choose differently. Perhaps you'll catch yourself about to accept an inadequate payment for your work, then find the courage to ask for what you're worth. Perhaps you'll notice the impulse to hide a purchase from your partner out of shame, then choose transparency instead. These small acts of conscious choice begin rewiring your relationship with money at the cellular level. The second milestone usually emerges around day 7, and this is the milestone of initial confirmation. Something small but significant happens in your external financial reality. You might receive an unexpected refund, find money you forgot you had, or be offered an opportunity that wasn't there before. These early confirmations are the universe's way of showing you that your internal shift is creating external changes. Don't dismiss these as coincidence. Your subconscious mind is testing your new programming, and life is reflecting your emerging beliefs about abundance. Week 2 brings the third milestone, which I call integration. During this phase, thinking differently about money starts to feel natural rather than forced. You begin to have conversations about financial goals without the familiar churning in your stomach. You find yourself saying yes to opportunities that would have felt too risky or too good for you just weeks before. Your dreams start including scenarios of abundance, and you wake feeling excited rather than anxious about your financial future. This is also when you might notice other people responding to you differently. They may offer assistance more readily, suggest collaborations they wouldn't have mentioned before, or treat you with a respect that reflects your growing self-worth. Energy is contagious, and as you embody worthiness of abundance, others begin to see and respond to that worthiness. By week 3, you reach the fourth milestone, visible transformation. This is when friends and family members start commenting on changes they perceive in you. You might hear that you seem more confident, more relaxed, or more optimistic. Your posture may improve as you literally stand taller in the truth of your worth. Your voice may carry more authority when discussing money matters. You begin attracting financial opportunities not through desperate effort, but through aligned vibration. During this phase, you might find yourself releasing relationships or situations that were anchored in your old scarcity programming. This isn't loss, but liberation. As you step into abundance consciousness, anything that requires you to stay small will naturally fall away, making space for connections and circumstances that honor your expanded self-worth. The fifth milestone arrives around the 1-month mark, and this represents a complete identity shift. By this point, your relationship with money has fundamentally altered. You no longer identify as someone who struggles financially, but as someone who flows with abundance. You make decisions from trust rather than fear, from possibility rather than limitation. Your poverty vow has been fully dissolved, replaced by a new understanding of yourself as worthy, capable, and naturally abundant. It's important to understand that this process rarely unfolds in a straight line. You may experience what feels like backsliding, moments when your old programming surfaces with surprising intensity. This is not failure, but normal. Neural pathways carved by decades of use don't disappear overnight. When you notice yourself returning to scarcity thinking, it's information, not condemnation. Simply acknowledge the old pattern, thank it for its former service, and gently redirect your thoughts toward abundance. Which milestone are you recognizing in your life right now? Are you in the stage of recognition, just beginning to see how deeply poverty consciousness has influenced your choices? Are you experiencing small confirmations that your internal shift is creating external changes? Comment below and let me know what phase of this transformation you're navigating, because witnessing your journey honors not just your growth, but the courage it takes to break generational patterns of limitation. Here's what most people don't realize. This is where the majority of seekers give up. They feel the initial discomfort of changing lifelong patterns. They experience the vulnerability of wanting more than they've allowed themselves to have. and they retreat to the familiar territory of limitation because it feels safer than expansion. But you're not most people. You understand that resistance is not a sign that the process isn't working. Resistance is proof that transformation is happening. As you continue this journey of breaking your poverty vow, you will encounter resistance, both from within yourself and from the world around you. This resistance is not evidence that you're doing something wrong, but confirmation that you're dismantling patterns that have been deeply embedded in your psyche and your family system. Understanding these obstacles prepares you to move through them with grace, rather than being stopped by them in confusion. The first obstacle you're likely to face is the fear that your family will judge or reject you if you become financially successful. This obstacle runs deeper than simple worry about others' opinions. It touches the primal need to belong, to remain connected to your tribe. If you grew up in a family where money was scarce or viewed with suspicion, your unconscious mind may interpret financial success as betrayal, abandonment, or arrogance. You may hear yourself thinking, "Who do I think I am to have more than my parents had? What gives me the right to live better than my siblings?" This obstacle often manifests as guilt when you spend money on things that bring you pleasure, shame when you achieve financial milestones your family never reached, or a compulsive need to downplay your success to maintain family harmony. But here's the truth your nervous system needs to understand. Your abundance does not diminish anyone else's possibilities. Your thriving does not cause others to suffer. Your success gives your family members permission to expand their own relationship with prosperity, even if they initially respond with discomfort or criticism. The second obstacle is the deeply embedded belief that you don't deserve more than your parents had, especially if they struggled or sacrificed to provide for you. This obstacle whispers that wanting financial ease dishonors their efforts, that enjoying abundance they never experienced is selfish and ungrateful. You might find yourself unconsciously creating financial limits that mirror your parents' limitations, as if exceeding their level of prosperity would somehow diminish their worth or your love for them. This belief confuses loyalty with limitation. True honor for your parents' struggles lies not in repeating their patterns, but in fulfilling the dreams they held for your future. Most parents who worked hard and sacrificed did so hoping their children would have easier lives, more opportunities, greater abundance than they experienced. Choosing prosperity is not betrayal of their efforts, but fulfillment of their deepest wishes for your happiness. The third obstacle emerges as the fear that having money will fundamentally change who you are, that abundance will corrupt your values or distance you from what truly matters. This fear often stems from childhood observations of wealthy individuals behaving badly or cultural messages that equate money with moral compromise. You might worry that financial success will make you greedy, superficial, or disconnected from simple pleasures and meaningful relationships. But money is not a character definer any more than a paintbrush determines the beauty of a painting. Wealth amplifies existing qualities rather than creating new ones. A generous person with money becomes more generous. A loving person with resources can love more expansively. A person committed to making a positive difference can create greater impact with abundance than with scarcity. Money reveals character. It doesn't create it. The fourth obstacle often surprises people with its intensity: the belief that it's somehow selfish or spiritually wrong to desire abundance when others lack basic necessities. This obstacle masquerades as compassion, but actually stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of how wealth and resources function in the world. You might feel guilty for wanting financial ease while others struggle, as if your limitation somehow helps those in need. The truth is that your poverty serves no one. Your struggle does not feed hungry children or house homeless families. Your financial stress does not alleviate anyone else's pain. In fact, when you operate from scarcity, you have less to offer others in terms of time, energy, resources, and emotional support. Abundance gives you the capacity to contribute meaningfully to solutions, to support causes you care about, to help others in practical and powerful ways. The fifth, and perhaps most subtle obstacle, is the fear that if you allow yourself to have financial abundance, you'll somehow lose it all, and the pain of loss will be unbearable. This fear often develops in people who experienced financial instability in childhood or witnessed their families lose significant resources. The unconscious logic runs, if I never have much, I can never lose much, but if I allow myself to prosper and then lose it, the devastation will destroy me. This obstacle keeps you perpetually braced for disaster, unable to fully enjoy or invest in the abundance that's trying to flow into your life. You might find yourself hoarding money rather than using it, avoiding investments that could multiply your wealth, or sabotaging success just before it reaches its full potential. The fear of future loss becomes a guarantee of present limitation. These 5 obstacles are not insurmountable walls, but temporary challenges that can be addressed with awareness, compassion, and persistence. Each obstacle you encounter and move through strengthens your abundance muscle, deepens your worthiness, and clears the path for even greater prosperity to find you. Remember, every person who has transcended financial limitation has faced these same fears and worked through them with patience and determination. The key is recognizing that these obstacles are not your truth, but simply old programming running its familiar loops. When you feel resistance to abundance arising, pause and ask yourself, is this fear protecting me from real danger or trying to keep me small? Almost always, you'll discover that the fear is outdated, designed for a past that no longer exists, preparing for threats that are no longer real. As your poverty vow dissolves and new abundance programming takes hold, your life will begin sending you signals that transformation is underway. These signs often appear so subtly that you might miss them if you're expecting dramatic, obvious changes. Learning to recognize and celebrate these confirmations strengthens your new neural pathways and builds momentum toward lasting financial transformation. The microsigns begin almost immediately and reveal themselves in small shifts in your daily behavior around money. You might notice that you stop automatically rejecting compliments about your work or accomplishments. Perhaps you find yourself keeping rather than immediately spending small windfalls. You may realize that you're no longer checking your bank account with the familiar knot of anxiety in your stomach, or that you're able to make purchases without the habitual guilt that used to follow. One microsign that many people overlook is a change in their physical posture when discussing money. Instead of shrinking or apologizing when money topics arise, you might find yourself standing taller, making eye contact, speaking with clearer voice. Your body language begins reflecting the inner shift toward worthiness before your conscious mind fully recognizes the transformation. Another subtle but significant microsign is the way you start handling money physically. You might notice yourself treating cash with more respect, organizing your wallet differently, or feeling genuinely grateful when making purchases rather than guilty. These small behavioral changes reflect a fundamental shift in how your nervous system categorizes money from threat to resource, from enemy to ally. The medium-level signs begin appearing in your relationships and circumstances as the energy you're radiating starts attracting different responses from the world around you. People may begin offering you opportunities they wouldn't have suggested when you were operating from scarcity consciousness. You might receive invitations to events or collaborations that feel more aligned with abundance than your previous connections. One woman named Cordelia shared with me that she knew her poverty vow was breaking when strangers started treating her differently in stores and restaurants. Salespeople became more attentive, service improved noticeably, and she realized she was carrying herself with a confidence that commanded respect. Her external presentation hadn't changed dramatically, but the energy she projected had shifted from apologetic to worthy, and the world was responding accordingly. You may also notice that conversations about money become easier and more natural. Instead of avoiding financial topics or feeling shame when they arise, you find yourself participating in discussions about investments, career advancement, or business ideas with genuine interest rather than anxious overwhelm. Money stops feeling like a foreign language you're not qualified to speak. Medium signs also include synchronicities related to abundance. You might repeatedly encounter information about financial strategies just when you need it. Meet people who offer exactly the guidance you've been seeking, or notice that resources appear just as you recognize you need them. These synchronicities aren't coincidences, but evidence that your shifting vibration is aligning you with the flow of abundance. The macro signs represent significant, visible changes in your financial reality that clearly demonstrate the power of your inner transformation. These might include receiving an unexpected promotion or job offer, discovering new sources of income, or finding that opportunities are seeking you out rather than requiring desperate pursuit. A man named Bartholomew told me that he knew his poverty programming had fundamentally shifted when he received 3 different job offers in the same week, each offering better compensation than his current position. For 42 years, he had never received an unsolicited job offer. Within 2 months of breaking his childhood vow that money was the root of all evil, he became so attractive to employers that he had the luxury of choice rather than the desperation of scarcity. Macro signs also appear in your decision-making patterns. You begin making choices based on what would truly serve your highest good rather than what feels safest or most familiar. You might find yourself investing in experiences or opportunities that your old self would have deemed too expensive or too risky, but that your abundance-aligned self recognizes as natural and wise. One of the most powerful macro signs is noticing that your relationship with money has become peaceful rather than charged. Financial planning shifts from anxious strategizing to excited visioning. Bills arrive without creating emotional disruption. Market fluctuations or unexpected expenses don't trigger the old panic because you trust in your ability to navigate financial challenges with wisdom and grace. Perhaps the most profound confirmation comes in recognizing that your poverty vow is no longer running your life. You realize that you haven't thought about money with fear or scarcity in days or weeks. You notice that abundance feels normal, natural, and sustainable rather than temporary or too good to be true. Stay with me in silence for just 5 seconds. Feel the truth of what we're creating together. The reality that's already shifting in your life simply through your willingness to recognize and release what no longer serves you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I remember working with a woman named Serafina, whose family had carried poverty consciousness for generations. Her grandmother hoarded food despite having plenty. Her mother apologized for every purchase, and Serafina herself had inherited the belief that wanting anything beyond basic survival was selfish and dangerous. When she first broke her poverty vow, the resistance from her family system was intense. They accused her of becoming materialistic, of forgetting where she came from, of thinking she was better than them. But Serafina continued her abundance practices, sending love to her family's fear while refusing to shrink back into limitation to make them comfortable. Within 6 months, her financial life had transformed completely, and something even more beautiful happened. Her success gave her mother permission to examine her own money patterns. Her grandmother began talking about dreams she had suppressed for decades. Her abundance became a gift to her entire family lineage, breaking chains of limitation that had bound them for generations. Everything we've explored together, every practice you've engaged, every moment of awareness you've cultivated has been preparing you for this, the complete dissolution of the poverty vow that has shaped your life and the full embodiment of the abundant being you were born to be. This is where transformation becomes permanent, where healing becomes identity, where the person you're becoming officially replaces the person you've been. Take a moment to acknowledge the journey you've traveled in these past 48 minutes. You've identified a childhood vow you may not have consciously recognized before today. You've witnessed the brilliance of your young self's attempt to navigate an overwhelming world with limited understanding. You've practiced communicating with that child part of yourself with compassion and wisdom. You've understood the mechanics of how unconscious programming creates external limitations. You've worked through the obstacles that keep most people trapped in financial struggle. You've learned to recognize the signs that abundance is already flowing into your life. But now we go deeper. Now we address not just the poverty vow itself, but the entire identity that was built around that vow, the whole sense of self that was constructed to honor and maintain that childhood promise. Because breaking a vow is one thing. Transforming the person who made that vow is another entirely. Let me tell you about the moment everything changed for a woman named Evangeline. She was 57 years old and had been struggling financially her entire adult life, despite being one of the most talented artists I've ever encountered. Her paintings were extraordinary, her vision unique, her skill undeniable. Yet she sold her work for almost nothing, gave most of it away, and lived in a constant state of financial stress that was slowly destroying her health and her creative spirit. During our deepest session together, we traced her poverty programming back to age 4, when her mother took her to visit her wealthy aunt's house. Little Evangeline was enchanted by the beautiful paintings on the walls, the soft carpets under her feet, the sense of ease and grace that filled every room. She spent the afternoon imagining what it would feel like to live surrounded by such beauty. But as they prepared to leave, she overheard her mother speaking to her aunt with bitter resentment. "She thinks she's so much better than us with all her fancy things. Money changes people, and not for the better. I wouldn't want to live like that even if I could." In that moment, 4-year-old Evangeline made a vow that would control her relationship with money for the next 53 years. She promised herself that she would never become the kind of person who had so much that others felt small in comparison. She would never use money to separate herself from people she loved. She would stay humble, accessible, and struggling because that felt safe, familiar, and morally superior. This vow had kept her trapped in a cycle of undercharging, overgiving, and financial anxiety for decades. But on the day she finally broke that vow, something extraordinary happened. Evangeline was sitting in her small, cluttered studio, surrounded by paintings she was about to sell for far less than they were worth, when she suddenly felt the presence of her 4-year-old self standing beside her. In her mind's eye, she could see that little girl with perfect clarity, still carrying the weight of that long-ago decision. Instead of speaking to this child about money, Evangeline asked a different question. "What do you need to feel safe being abundant?" The answer came immediately. "I need to know that having beautiful things doesn't make me better than others. I need to know that abundance can be shared. I need to know that money can create connection instead of separation." In that moment, Evangeline felt something shift so profoundly that her entire body began to tremble. Tears streamed down her face as 53 years of financial limitation dissolved. She understood that she could honor her compassionate heart while allowing abundance to flow. She could use wealth to create beauty that uplifts others rather than money that separates her from them. She could be successful without being superior. Within 24 hours of breaking her poverty vow, Evangeline received a phone call from a gallery owner who had seen her work at a friend's house. He wanted to feature her paintings in an upcoming show and was prepared to pay prices that tripled what she had been asking. But even more powerful than the external validation was the internal transformation. For the first time in her adult life, Evangeline felt worthy of abundance, deserving of success, and excited about financial prosperity. The poverty vow that had once protected a sensitive child from feeling different or disconnected had become the very thing preventing a gifted woman from sharing her talents with the world. Breaking that vow didn't change her values or her heart. It freed them to express through abundance rather than despite limitation. As you sit with this story, as you feel Evangeline's transformation resonating in your own nervous system, notice what's shifting in your body. Perhaps there's a loosening in your chest, a deepening in your breath, a sense of spaciousness where there used to be contraction. Perhaps tears are rising as you recognize the ways your own poverty vow has kept you smaller than your soul intended. Perhaps excitement is building as you sense the abundance that's ready to flow into your life once you fully release the childhood promise that no longer serves you. You've arrived at this moment not by accident, but by deep spiritual alignment. You've moved through 48 minutes of intensive transformation work because your soul is ready for abundance, because the universe is preparing to deliver resources that match your expanded self-worth, because the time has come for you to step fully into the prosperity that has always been your birthright. Place both hands on your heart now and feel the steady, faithful rhythm that has carried you through every moment of your life, including the moment when your childhood self made a vow that was born from love, but limited by fear. This heart that beats in your chest has been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to claim the abundance that matches the love it carries, the prosperity that honors the gifts it pumps through your veins with every breath. Close your eyes and connect with that child inside who made the poverty vow so many years ago. See them clearly, lovingly, with complete compassion for their innocence and their intention to protect you both from pain. Speak to this child now with the voice of the wise adult you have become. Thank them for their care, their concern, their desire to keep you safe in the only way they knew how. Now, speaking directly to this child, explain what you understand about abundance that they couldn't have known then. Tell them that money is energy, that wealth is a tool for love's expression, that having resources amplifies your ability to serve and bless and heal. Help them understand that poverty serves no one, that struggle is not spiritual, that you can have abundance while keeping your heart wide open. Feel this child's relief as they realize they can release the burden they've been carrying for so many years. See them smile as they understand that abundance is not the enemy of love, but love's natural expression in the physical world. Watch as they hand you the poverty vow, ready finally to let it go. Now we speak the words that break the vow forever. We speak them first as a whisper, the way secrets are shared between the most intimate parts of ourselves. Place your lips near your heart and whisper these words. I break this poverty vow. I release this limiting promise. I choose abundance in its place. Feel the vibration of these words moving through your chest, your blood, your bones. Now speak these words in your normal voice, claiming them with the full power of your conscious choice. I break this poverty vow. I release this limiting promise. I choose abundance in its place. Feel how these words land differently, how they carry more weight, how they penetrate deeper layers of your being. And finally, speak these words with the full authority of someone who understands their power to create reality through conscious decree. I break this poverty vow. I release this limiting promise. I choose abundance in its place. Let these words echo through every cell of your body, every level of your consciousness, every dimension of your being. Now we install your new identity, the truth of who you are beneath every limitation you've ever accepted. Place your hands more firmly on your heart and speak your new truth, first as a whisper of intimate recognition. I am worthy of abundance. I deserve wealth that flows easily. I am a blessing magnet, and money is my friend. Speak these words again with your normal voice, claiming them as your lived reality. I am worthy of abundance. I deserve wealth that flows easily. I am a blessing magnet, and money is my friend. And now decree these words with the absolute authority of universal truth. I am worthy of abundance. I deserve wealth that flows easily. I am a blessing magnet, and money is my friend. Can you feel it? That shift in your nervous system, that opening in your energy field, that sense of space where limitation used to live? You are no longer the person who made a poverty vow in childhood. You are no longer someone who needs to choose between abundance and love, between prosperity and goodness, between wealth and worth. Remember the question I asked at the beginning of our time together. You made a vow of poverty when you were 5 years old, and it's been running your life ever since. Now you have your answer. Yes, you made that vow. Yes, it was running your life. But that vow no longer has power over you because you have reclaimed your right to choose abundance, prosperity, and financial ease as expressions of your highest good. If you've stayed with me through this entire journey, if you've done this sacred work of breaking free from limitation and claiming your birthright of abundance, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel because you're not just someone who watched a video about money. You're someone who participated in profound transformation. You're someone who chose growth over safety, expansion over limitation, possibility over the familiar prison of financial struggle. Return to this space in 21 days and comment on your victory. Tell me about the opportunities that have appeared, the shifts in your relationship with money, the ways abundance has begun flowing into your life. And if this work has served you, if it has cracked open possibilities you didn't know were available, there are those who choose to leave a coffee in the pinned comment below. This isn't payment for what we've shared together. It's energy that you plant in the soil of abundance, knowing that what you give returns to you multiplied. Whether you choose to leave a coffee or simply carry this work into your daily life, Know that you are forever changed by what we've created together. The poverty vow that once defined your relationship with money has been broken. The child who made that vow has been loved and released. The adult who breaks that vow is now free to live in the abundance that was always meant to be yours. It is accomplished. It is complete. The vow is broken. The limitation is dissolved, and abundance now flows naturally into your life. What was bound has been set free. What was limited has been expanded. What was hidden in childhood fear has been revealed in adult love. You are abundant. You are worthy. You are free.